not necessarily marriage. We're going to talk about family, the family unit. Why do we have a lot of depression cases coming up? And when you walk through this, the journey with these people, you realize that most of them are hailing from a single parenthood and mostly single motherhood. So why is that the case? Why are these children, when they get into adolescence, they have a lot of challenges? Okay, so yes, tonight it shall not be easy on everybody. It shall be difficult, it shall be annoying, but yes, sit back and enjoy this conversation. Now, the question of the day, let me just put it here. Do you know God or do you know about God? I keep on asking that question and everybody says, I know God, I know God. I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm. Do you know God or do you know about God? Because believe me, every single thing that is happening, like right now, in uh, in Kenya, we're having a lot of issues, and we are thinking that possibly this is just about the Gen Z, or this is about our nation getting into a transitional phase, and everybody's coming up with every single explanation to just get the views and to just maybe make sense, and it does make sense to an extent. But the reality is, we are fighting a spiritual battle. That's the truth. Whether you like it or not, everything in this world goes back to good and evil. It's spiritual. When you understand that, you will start to know that we are just here to pass. So all these things are coming in as waves, and all those waves are okay. So we have to go through those waves and all that. But only the weak will suffer through these waves, right? Weak people suffer in hands of everything. Weak men suffer in hands of women. Weak women suffer in hands of weak men. It's just weakness is the nature of evil, and that's why we are here. So most people are saying, "I know God." On TikTok, I would like to see how many I know about God. Okay, yes, I heard Dema says I know about God. What if you know God? Who is God? Or what? Let me just start this way by just having an open conversations already, so that when I explain it, you get to understand where this is actually coming from. Do you think you know God or do you know about God? That is the major question. Because, there we go. Who is this? Hello.
Hello,
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. What's your name?
My name is Sumea.
Oh, this is Dr. Levi is talking to you. You're live on air.
Okay.
First question to you is this: do you know God or do you know about God?
I know God and I believe in Him, and also Namumba. I'm a Muslim.
The question.
Believe
Okay.
God.
The question was very simple. You've over answered it. Do you know God or do you know about
God,
God?
I know God.
Who taught you about God?
Our Deen.
Pardon?
Our Deen.
Who taught you Din?
Yani Islam.
Who taught you Islam?
Islamu nikafunza udini ya Islamu.
Ulifunzwa na nani Uislamu? Who taught you? Nani alikufunza Uislamu?
Kitabu cha Qur'an. Kitabu cha Qur'an.
Ni nani?
Kimetoka kwa Mungu pia.
Sumea, ni nani alikufunza dini?
Kitabu cha Qur'an.
Ni nani alikufunza kitabu cha Qur'an?
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Prophet hakukufunza dini. Ni nani alikufunza dini? Why are you running away from the reality? Who taught you din? Kuna mtu alikufunza. You didn't teach yourself. Prophet did not teach you din. Who taught you din?
I was taught Quran.
By who?
I have sheikhs wanajua, walikuwa wamejua more na wengine wengi.
No, you don't need to
And I
explain.
learned
Simply
from them.
say I was taught by sheikh. That is it. Don't over explain. Who taught you din? I was taught by sheikh. That is it. Ulifunzwa na shekhe kuhusu dini, sio?
Yes.
So wewe unajua Mungu ama unajua kuhusu Mungu?
Najua kuhusu Mungu.
Kwa hivyo hamjui Mungu?
Namjua Mungu na namjua pia yeye, ndio maana ninamwabudu. Mungu niendelee ama
endelea. Mungu ni nani? Ama Mungu ni nini?
Mungu ni yeye ndio mwenye kuumba, hakuzaa na hakuzaliwa, hana wazazi pia.
Okay. So wewe ukasirika? Do you have anger?
It depends na whatever.
Sumea. Yes. Focus. You are the first caller. You can't deviate all the time. Do you have anger? I did not ask, does somebody get you angry? I just asked, do you have anger?
No.
You never get angry?
Mm-mm.
Oh, amazing. But you said, in the beginning, you said, it depends with who gets me angry. Now you're saying, you don't get angry.
Unajua kuna kukasirika. There is kukasirika and this called the anger, which is hasira. I think, is it ni kitu mbili different?
Wewe una hasira?
No.
Oh, so kwa hivyo huwa ukasiriki?
Nakasirika.
Hey.
Okay, let's say yes, okay.
Hii conversation inafaa kwenda mahali, lakini wewe una deviate all the time. Uko na hasira, ndio uko na hasira. Mara sina hasira.
Yes, sawa, okay.
So,
kama hasira kukasirika, okay,
Unaelewa kwamba moyo ambao una hasira haumjui Mungu?
Yeah, I know that.
So then, why would you say you know God when you have anger?
You know, when you come same like somebody anakuja then anakukasirisha, that's when you maybe utakuwa na hiyo anger or utakuwa utakasirika.
Okay.
But then itatulia tu.
Yeah.
When things fall on the right way.
Sasa swali langu ni hivi. My question is, you believe that somebody can get you angry?
Yes.
Why do you think somebody can get you angry when the real situation is your expectations of people are the ones that actually get you angry? I don't believe anybody can get you angry. It's because you are so inadequate inside and you think that these people are supposed to behave in a certain way, so you expect a lot from them. And when they don't perform as per your expectations, you get angry. Therefore, these people did not get you angry. Ulijikasirisha wewe mwenyewe. Do you believe that?
No, let's say expectations, I'm not in expectations, but lakini expectations si ati nafanya kwa sababu na expect something from this person ama nini ndio ikanifanya nikae anga. Maybe kuna kitu kwa mtu hajafanya kitu vizuri, mbona hujafanya? This should be like this or this should be like this.
But if you are of the nature of God, you are supposed to be adequate and you're not supposed to expect anything from other people. So why would you get angry at other people when you know that these people are actually created or built and designed in the image of God? So you're actually getting angry at God. Why would you get angry at somebody, or why would somebody get you angry if at all you are so adequate from within?
No, if somebody maybe anakutusi ama anakufanyia kitu mbaya, why don't you be angry? Si lazima ni expect kitu mtu atanifanyia.
Lakini kwani
I don't expect anything. Maybe mtu maybe amenifanyia kitu mbaya, amenichapa ama amenifanya kitu ama amenitusi ama hiyo yote si mtu anaweza taka, you can be an angry person then.
No, you are an angry person because you know about God, you've been taught about God, but you've never taken time to find out what God or who God is. You've never taken that time. You've been taught about God by somebody and then you believed it. But from within you, you already understand that anger is the nature of evil. So you cannot harbor evil inside you and at the same time harbor God. How is that making sense? Wewe unaweza kuwa ndani yako una Mungu na bado uko na shetani. Is it making sense?
No, that does not make sense.
So you tell me, how do you know God when you have the nature of evil inside you? Does that mean you are very evil?
No, I'm not.
But you have anger, and anger is the nature of evil. If you have the nature of evil, you're evil.
When you have an anger, that it does not mean you are an evil person.
But you have the nature of evil.
As I said,
you identify with evil, which means you're evil. Do you sin?
Wacha nikuambie daktari, mimi mambo ya kusema sijui anger is sijui what kama ni mtu atakukasirisha and apologize, we go on. Hivyo maisha, mambo ya kusema then I'm still evil, no.
Okay. I think, you see, you're getting emotional, and emotions are what we are trying to handle here. But anyway, let me drop you first, and then I explain this so that people get. Oh. That went south so fast. Now this is the point. This is the reality on the ground. The reality on the ground is people think they know God because they have some form of entitlement, and I think this is where religion comes in to mess everything around, because most people believe what they've been taught about God, so they have no time to understand who God is because they have never read it. They've never read about God. Possibly they have read about him through the Quran, the Bible stuff, but they have never taken a chance to understand the spiritual aspect of what nature is and who God is, like literally, because most of us even think that God is a person. So we think God will react according to our feelings. So if you're actually getting angry, it means you still have the nature of evil, because anger and love cannot sit in the same heart. Love is the nature of God and anger is the nature of evil. These two things cannot stay in the same building, the same heart. This is the reason why you'll hear Christians telling you that, you see, I can sin and still ask for forgiveness and I will be forgiven. And they sin all the time because they believe that because they were designed, God who put that sin in them. So they have no control over that. But God put some form of will in you and some form of power to actually choose between good and evil. And listen to this. We wanted to base this on the argument of families and stuff. Why is it that families are breaking up? What is it that we are getting wrong? That families are breaking up, like the children are being raised by single parenthood. And what is the connection between these two, the breaking up of the family and the issues that are coming in form of mental health in these children? Now understand this, that whether you like it or not, a man is supposed to know God. Every man is supposed to know God. Why am I saying that? Because if a man knows God, you will understand the nature and the order of God. And the nature and order of God starts from God himself to men, and then men over women and women over children. That's the order of God. God above men, men above women, women above children. But look at it this way. What is happening in the modern society is God above men and then men and women on the same line. Sometimes women above men, because women have now adopted masculine roles. They are working tirelessly to provide, which basically tells you a man slept on the job, because it is the nature of God that a man provides. So therefore it's the nature of God that a man has to understand God before he even gets married. Because if he does understand God, he will understand the order of God, and then he will know, regardless of the position of a woman in a society, the man is the ultimate provider. And the roles of a man are just summarized. They're actually limited. One is provision, exclusive provision. Two, somebody's asking which gender is God. Your God has a gender. Itwaya, your God has a gender. You've been listening to pastors telling you that God spoke to me. This is a question you should ask pastors. God spoke to you. In which voice? Was it a feminine voice or a masculine voice? So stop putting gender to something that is not there. You don't even have the evidence of that being. We have evidence of creation, but you don't have evidence of that being that you're putting a gender to. So why would I classify God as a male or a female? And again, he says My children will know me through my voice, which is a voiceless voice. So God reveals things to you. He doesn't speak to you. So how will you know the gender? Anyway, that aside. So listen. So if a man understands the order of God, this means this man will know that women are under him and children are also under him. So he will provide for these children and these women exclusively. That is one. Number two, he will respect and submit to the upper power. So from up going down is God, love to the man, love from the man to the woman, love from the woman to the children. But nowadays, how many women are telling men that they love men? Like women on this platform, allow me to ask you this question. Is it possible for a woman to love a man? Given that the order of God is love flows from God to the man, and man to the woman, and the woman to the children. And vice versa is respect and submission. So is it possible for a woman to love a man? But how many of you always tell men that they love these men, and then somebody asks you, what is love? You don't understand. Why? Because the man is the one who is supposed to teach a woman about God. The man is the one who's supposed to teach this woman to know God and also teach the children. But again, look at it this way. Women are the one who are taking children to church, and at least for the Muslim community, the sheikh are men. Men are the ones who are responsible of teaching deen to the children. But in Christian families, women are the ones who are taking children to church every Sunday. True or false? True or false? So it means the order of God is actually distorted. And now women are working hard to provide for the families because men have become weak and we are sharing bills. So when you're sharing bills with a woman, how do you expect submission and respect to come? Because these things are earned. So when you understand the order of God, it becomes easier for you because you will understand that these people, wherever they do, they are under me. I have to provide and protect them exclusively. And number one role of a man is provision, exclusive provision to whoever is in his life. That's number one. Number two is protection. And this is where it's going to get interesting. This is where it's going to get interesting. And this is where people will start getting upset. Now listen. Women live in a very chaotic world because of imagination. Now listen, thoughts are very evil. At all times, thoughts are evil because you don't create your own thoughts. They are put in your head by somebody. Now, women start creating thoughts in a child's head from the time because they are the ones who spend a lot of time with these children. So most of us rely on the thoughts that were put in our heads. We don't have independence of thought. That's why thoughts are evil, because people put their thoughts in our heads and you start believing. That's the reason why you start losing weight and everybody tells you you're looking bad and you now start feeling bad about it. You eat yourself to fatness because it's a spiritual battle. However much you're trying to fix the physical, it's a spiritual battle. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So the role number one for a man is provision. Role number two for a man, thank you so much, Willie. Role number two for a man is protection. And on that protection role, the man is supposed to protect the children against the emotions that are coming from the mother. Hello? Protect the woman from external aggressors, and then protect the children from external aggressors. But most importantly, protect the children from the emotions that are coming from the mother. Because sometimes women will admit to this, that when you're punishing a child, you end up punishing the child with emotions. The anger that you've pulled from the father, you end up punishing this child with that same anger. And you see that is an evil move. So when you punish this child with that anger because of the disagreement that is coming between you and the husband, these children start to resent you because they don't like it. They know they've done a mistake and they need to be corrected. And that's why I always insist, men are the ones who are supposed to punish the children, because men punish without emotions. They punish according to the mistake that has been done. Thank you, Raipu. But women punish with emotions because it's the nature of a woman to be emotional. You cannot separate a woman from emotions. They will tell you they've matured emotionally, but the reality is there is a small child in every woman. There's that small child in every woman who needs to be corrected and molded to be the woman that she is. And men have failed on this because they don't understand the nature of God. Men were taken to churches by women. Men were taught Sunday school. And even, I will not talk about Islam so much because I don't know about that. But men were taken to church by women. Christian men were taken to church by women. They were taught in school by women. And therefore, they end up adapting the nature of a woman, emotions. And they were raised by women. As fathers disappeared, and you can see that in single motherhood or single parenthood families, when men deposit their sperm and then they disappear, they let these children be raised by mothers. When these children are raised by mothers, all they know is one side of the story, which is the mother's story. Now, a woman has always the need to control something. And apparently, when women get married, The only thing they can control is the man who they have in that relationship, the husband. And I'm putting that husband in quote because nowadays we have very little tuko na husbands wachache sana. All we have is just males. So the reality is this. These women are raising children on their own because somebody deposited their sperm and left. Now, ladies, it is okay to make one mistake, but repeating the same mistake is a crime. It's actually on you. If you have two children from different baby daddies, you will have to take responsibility for that because you see, from one man, it's allowed. Why is it allowed? Because somebody can handle that because you made a mistake once. Makosa si makosa. Kufanya kosa si kosa, kurudia kosa ndilo kosa. When you do it the second time, so imagine you have two children from two different baby daddies. But you see, in these two different relationships, the constant is you. This also happens to men. Listen, I'll give you a small story for this to just make sense. I used to talk to different women. I used to date different women back in the day. And it was exciting and boring at the same time. Why? Because I would think I was a guru because I had all these women around me. But one thing I realized, I feared women because I actually feared my mother. So men are supposed to fear only God. But I feared my mother to an extent that every single woman that I attracted was actually behaving like my mother. That's the reality. So I used to fear these women. But I used to date multiple of them because I was so insecure. I was thinking, if this one leaves, I have this one. I cannot suffer. That was a crime. That meant I never knew the essence or the basis of family and the basis of the order of God. So this is what happened. In all the relationships that I was in, every time I break up with one woman, I blame them. This is what you guys do all the time. You blame the other party because you think from within you are the best person, right? You'll always think that you are the best and all others are the problem. So I blamed every single one of them. Let's put a figure, maybe 5. Now in this 5, the constant was me. But each one of them left for a different reason. And every time one left, I kept on complaining. And remember, I thought, because I have 5, if one goes, I'll have 4, so I'm safe, right? But it hurt as crazy. One leaves and it hurts you as though you just had that one. The other one leaves and it hurts as though you still had just one. So as much as you think multiple women will give you the pleasure, it doesn't make sense. Man, it doesn't make sense. So this is the reality. So every single one of them who left, I kept on blaming them. It was their fault. It was their fault. Why did they leave me? I mean, I'm adequate. Why did they leave me? It is them, not me. But you see, in these 5 women, the constant is only me, which means I was the mistake. And until I realized I was afraid of my mother. So therefore, I ended up being afraid or being fearful of a woman instead of fearing only God. I suffered the consequences of that fear. And fear is evil. And actually, tonight's topic is based on fear, anger, blame, thoughts, and also how to overcome these things. Okay? So understand that. So I became so chaotic, so emotional, everything. Hey, there's nothing bad like having, women know, there's nothing weird like having an emotional man. Like an emotional man is just like a woman. Chaos after chaos, argument after argument, and that was normalized. I thought, I have to put my point across. And then they leave, and then I blame them. And the more I blame them, the more I attract the same energy. And until I decided, no, this is enough. I have to find some spiritual aspect of life, because the real case is, it's not about the women. It's about how you fix your spirituality, because you attract who you are. Now listen to this. A woman has an innate thing to control something. Inborn. It's not a problem. This nature. From within, they have something to control. Now apparently, the only thing that they have control over is the man they are having in a relationship or in or dating. Those questions that they call the shit tests, those questions that a woman asks you every single time, are actually questions that confirm a woman wants to control a man. But if she finds it difficult to control a man, she'll take a responsibility to control the children so that the man gives the attention. So a woman wants attention naturally. Leave alone the love language that you guys say, oh, you touch, you need. It's all about attention. And she has to get this attention by all means. And 2 ways she gets this attention or she controls the man. One is through sex. And that's why I tell you, men, you have to control your ejaculations. Every time you ejaculate, you become weak and crazy and chaotic. So as you ejaculate thinking that this is the end result, that you're now a beast, with those ejaculations, when she leaves, she'll tell you you are 1 minute man. So that 1 hour that you had sex with her satisfactorily will not count. So retain that semen. Enjoy the orgasm, but retain the semen. So through ejaculations. So a woman controls a man through sex. That's why when you don't ejaculate, she'll ask you, have you seen another woman? Thank you so much, Willie. Are you seeing another woman? Why is that question coming in? That question comes in because she wanted some form of control, and that's from within her. She doesn't even know. She doesn't have control over it. It's a natural instinct. So she wants to control the man through sex, but if she's unable to control you through sex, she will control you through the children. So what will she do? She will try as much as possible to give the children attention and turn the children against you as a man. And why is she turning the children against you? She doesn't even know. She's doing this to get the attention, because once you realize the children are turning against you, you start giving them attention. And a man has only one goal in their head. You cannot compete with two things in your head. It's very difficult for a man. We are not good at multitasking. So anytime you shift your attention from the goal towards the woman, you lose the goal. Now, believe me, you on this one, she will leave. Because this woman got attracted to you because of the goal that you had. She actually bought the idea that she can drop her ambition and join your ambition, because you acted or you behaved as though you had an ambition, and she bought the ambition. And now she has managed to control you naturally, and you've fallen for that trap, and you've shifted your attention from your goal towards her. Trouble. This is what is happening in marriages. And most married men are beta males. You can't even help it, because these questions that women ask every single time, you will have to remember these questions so that you can answer them adequately. And if you lie to a woman once, bro, you have to remember that lie, because she has a file. So a year down the line, she'll ask that question again, but in a different way. And you will suffer because you will lie. Or at that moment in time, you forgot even the lie that you actually formulated. So now you have to say the truth. And when you say the truth, she's like, but you told me this. Now you have to formulate a second lie to defend the first lie. And now you have two lies to remember. I mean, what man has the ability to remember two lies consecutively? Now you've created a hole for yourself, and it becomes chaotic for you. Because now you'll always be trying as much as possible to impress her. And that's the time you fall for the trap. Because a man is supposed to be honest. You're supposed to live an honest life. And you cannot live an honest life if you don't know God. You can't. So you have to know God before even thinking about a marriage. And this is why the problem is coming in marriages, and this marriage is an institution that's actually ordained by God. So it's ordained by God. So which means before you get into it, you must know God. Not knowing about God because you've read about him. Not knowing God because somebody told you about God. No. You have to know God on your own, which means you have to find the spiritual self and fix it. And how do you find the spiritual self? Remember, the woman turned you against the father, and to a child, the biological father is the earthly representation of God. I repeat, to every child, the earthly representation of God is the biological father. Are we now getting it where the problem comes in a single parenthood? When there's a single mother involved in this, the only thing that this child knows is the nature of the mother. The nature of the mother. And you see, the woman was actually, they will recreate this child, and this is not disrespect single mothers on this platform, but this is the reality. Women have a way of recreating the child in their own image. When they recreate the child in their own image, this child knows the side of the story of the mother. Now, regardless of what happened between the woman and the father of the child, that is not a child's business. So women, stop putting children in these compromising situations. That now this child has to hate the father because you hate the boyfriend, aka boyfriend, the father of the child. So now you have to recreate the child in your own image so that the child actually sides with you in this situation. And this is weird, because this is happening all the time. And this topic has become so sensitive that anytime you mention anything about single mothers, it becomes chaotic. Women become so annoyed about this. But you see, Ladies, as you become annoyed because somebody has told you the truth, remember you're raising a son. And this son is going to attract a woman who has exact personality as you. So do you expect his relationship to last? Do you expect his marriage to last? When all he has in him is the nature of you, because you've recreated him in your own image. This means that these sons will have to go and seek forgiveness from you. And you see, anytime you tell a man, please go and tell your mother that you've forgiven her and you want to let her go, because you want to overcome the nature of the mother from inside. You want to overcome that nature of the woman. For you to overcome that nature of the woman, which is emotional, which is a little chaotic, because emotions and anger are actually coming from a side of lack. So we are raising sons who are beating up women. We are raising sons who are so chaotic they cannot provide because they know a woman is supposed to provide. You see the way the problem is? Now this son ends up attracting a woman who is exactly as the mother, because anytime you try to recreate this son in your own image, ladies, anytime you recreate this son in your own image, this son starts to resent you because they become feminine. They don't like being feminine. So they resent you without even knowing. And when they resent you, they become like you, because whatever you resent, you become. Now they end up attracting exactly the same women as you. Now, put this story of single mothers aside and get into a marriage. Nowadays, marriages are breaking, but people are just there physically because of the society. So the society will not see us as though we are bad, okay? Women want to put that move that I'm not a bad person, and the man wants to show that I am that man in this marriage, so that the society can respect him. But these people are single in marriage. These people are single in marriage, so these people are sharing bills. So therefore, this man is expecting the woman to respect him and submit to him. Actually, he's pushing respect and submission, forcing it. But you see, a woman's nature is to submit and respect the man, who is a stoic man, the provider, the protector, and the leader. But you're not a leader because you don't know the order of God. You're sharing bills. You can't make decisions. You're not decisive. And then you cannot protect this woman because you're fat. So you're not physically fit. You are financially at a very dangerous position because you rely on a salary. So you are one pay slip away from being broke. If you become broke, how will you provide for them? How? So you cannot lead, you cannot protect both physically and financially, you cannot provide because you're sharing bills with this woman. When you're doing these things, now you've distorted the order of God. So now it becomes God above men, and now men with women above children. Criminal. Some of you men, you are relying on your children to come and salvage you in your retirement period. So you're thinking that I'm taking this son to school. Instead of taking them to school to go and find independence, to depend on themselves, you're actually trying to take them to school so that they can be a retirement plan for you. Because all through you've been sharing bills with your woman, of course. So what do you expect? And now remember, women are very sharp. That controlling thing, they tend to control your sons. And this is the reason why they will leave you in the villages and move to the cities to go and argue with the wives of their sons. As you suffer in the village, your wife, aka the mother of this child, is actually eating good in town and creating chaos. The mother-in-law is creating chaos all the time. So you failed as a man. So you need to understand that order. Once you understand that order, everything else falls in place. So now tell me, how many men get married after forgiving their mothers? Men fear their mothers. They cannot stand against their mothers and tell them, hey, this is enough. I have respected you for the longest period of time, and it's time for me to let you go because I want to overcome you from within. So I want you to forgive me for resenting you for no good reason. That statement looks very vague. But you see, you don't even know the reason why you're resenting her, because you did not understand the nature of God. And now because you're trying to find God, because you're trying to return back to the Father before getting back to the Father. And your earthly representation of the Father is actually a biological father. So you have to go back by forgiving the mother. And then after forgiving the mother, you have now a leeway. And now do not care about what the mother will say. Once you just said, hey, I want you to forgive me for resenting you for no good reason, whatever she says is none of your business, because most mothers will become so emotional and they'll cry and they will act up and all that. It's none of your business. And remember that she cannot forgive you because forgiveness does not come from a human being, it comes from above, from God. So once you've said those words, God sees the pain in you and now removes the suffering from you by putting the mother's identity out. Because you see, when she was turning you against the father, she remolded you into her own image and then imposed her identity in you. So you're suffering with multiple identities. So by the time you're going to a psychiatrist to look for what is ailing you, why you are depressed, you're actually going to get another identity from the psychologist or from the psychiatrist. Triple identities. And now you'll always be sitting in a corner popping antidepressants until you get to forgive your mother. Once you forgive your mother, you get the identity of her identity of you. And now God gives you your own identity and fills you with love. And then, before that, you also have to face your father and tell your father, I want you to forgive me for resenting you, because remember, actually you have to tell him directly, I want to forgive you for you not protecting me against the anger and emotions that were coming from the mother. Because the role of the father to protect the children against the anger and emotions that are coming from the mother. That's a primary role. So when you forgive the mother, you have one obstacle to get your own identity perfectly. You forgive the father because he did not protect you against the anger and the evil that was coming from the mother. Once you do that, God removes all these identities from you, gives you a whole new identity, and then fills you with love. And now listen, through that identity, God will reveal things to you. God does not talk to people. If a pastor ever tells you that God spoke to me, Mungu aliniongelesha, ask him, is that a feminine voice or a masculine voice? If God talked to you, even in the books, those people who had an experience with God, they ran. They were so frightened. So you, pastor, today God spoke to you and you just listening. You are just there standing confidently listening, and then now you want to pass the message to me. You're lying. God cannot pass my message to you. No. God will need my identity to reveal things to me through my own identity. So stop lying to me. In fact, go and fix your identity, because you know about God because you've read the Bible. But you don't know God because you have never sought for forgiveness. You are even afraid of your own mother, and you are a pastor. I am lucky to have been raised by a stoic father and an ultimate provider. I am lucky. So you need that. You need that. When you get that identity, now God uses that identity to reveal things to you. But if you're waiting to hear, he even says, my voice is a voiceless voice, and my children will know me through that voice. And that voice has to come through the identity. You can never get a revelation from God because God does not speak to people. God reveals things to people. So he cannot reveal anything when there's an obstacle. You don't have an identity. So how will he reveal things to you when you've actually given people your identity? Anytime somebody gets you angry, you've picked their identity. Anytime you get upset about anything, you've picked a different identity. So anger is not about those people offending you. No, anger is about you having no identity at all. You're actually struggling with identity. Men beating women, identity problems. So from within you are emotional. And it almost looks like a gay marriage or a lesbian marriage because the man is feminine, the woman is also feminine. Two women together. And then you're the first person to say here, oh, LGBTQI, LGBTY, LGI, whatever. No, you are in a marriage physically. Spiritually, you are out, but you know the spirit controls the mental, and then the mental controls the physical. So you cannot even fix health without fixing the spiritual aspect. You want to argue with women, you want to make your point hard by shouting. And by the way, anytime you shout, you look more stupid because you actually, you anytime you shout at anybody, your point is not hard. No, it's not hard. You are the fool in that argument. In the first place, why are you arguing? In the second place, you can still make your point without having to shout. So why are you shouting? Estrogen, lack of identity. Having explained that, somebody asked me, why do you share this health information and the secrets in this industry without fear? And I told you, and I think it was on a live, I told you, I knew God before I knew medicine. Period. I knew God before I knew medicine. That means the nature of anger, the nature of fear was removed from me. People fear women more than they fear God because they don't know God, they know about Him, but at least they know the woman, right? How many men can stand up to their mothers and tell their mothers, hey, stop this one, You see women, mothers and their daughters-in-law fighting every single day, even fighting for the front seat in a car, in your son's car. Where is this coming from? Lack of identity. So you've actually molded your son in your own image. And this son, basically, when they talk, you've had women tell them, mother's boy, right? Is it mother's or mama's boy? Mama's boy. Because whatever you're speaking, when you sound so feminine. And to make it even worse, you're sharing bills with your wife. And then you'll say, she's supporting me. Listen, this woman did not buy the idea of supporting you in the first place. This woman bought the idea that she saw an ambition in you. You sold her the idea of an ambition. So she bought that idea and thought, if anything goes wrong, I can sacrifice my ambition to join this man's line. So she actually joined your kingdom. And look at you. She joins your kingdom expecting to align to your goals, and then now you turn to where she came from. And now you expect her to be there and understand. My friend, understand. Well, understand. So at least now you've understood where the point comes in. So if I bring you in, come in understanding what I'm talking about. Do not just come in thinking, I have to be hard. Yes, you have to be hard, but again, you have to make a point. Most women, you ask most women if they get angry, and guess what happens? They run all over. You heard the first one. They run all over. They don't want to accept that they have the nature of their mothers in them, and they need to forgive their mothers so that they can get their own identities, and forgive their fathers also to get their own identities. So they keep on running. So you ask the woman a simple question: do you have anger? Rather, do you know God or do you know about God? She says, I know God. Okay. Do you have anger? I don't have anger issues. I'm like, the question was not if you have anger issues. The question was, do you have anger? When you pin them down, they accept, yes, I have anger. But it depends with somebody who is offending me. It doesn't depend with anybody. If you have anger, you have the nature of evil. Fix it. It's not about people. Why are you blaming people who are just innocent? Everybody has their own identity, and they're trying to fix their own problems. So therefore, this is where blame comes in, because from within, you have anger, you have fear, you have thoughts that you believe in, so you're always in your imagination. And therefore, you're of the nature of Satan. And in a heart that harbors anger, a heart that harbors emotions and all these problems, and fear, is actually a heart that has accepted the evil to make a home in them. And most women have accepted the evil to make a home in them. And then they will defend it. That's why they go mad over a very small thing, and then they defend it later on. It's a crazy world. They defend it later on by saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But you see, anytime you see a woman disrespecting a man, that is a male. Because women don't just wake up one day to disrespect a man. They don't. They can't. And respect is earned. And any man who is providing, any man who is capable of protecting a woman financially and physically because he's fit, a woman will align. They will align. It is natural. But you are obese. This woman came into your life when you're that guy who used to go to the gym, you used to fast. Now a woman comes in and changes your kitchen totally, and then just puts the kitchen of her mother there, because from inside her, she has the identity of her mother. Thank you so much, Rosalita. Thank you for that super chat. So she has the nature of her mother and the identity of her mother. She didn't forgive her mother before getting married. You neither did you forgive your mother and your father before getting married. Chaos are starting there. And you see, our older people here, they never understood this nature of God. They know about God also, but they don't know God. So from here, there's a mess already. And it's not their fault. It's because also they were taught the same thing. So now they are thinking that women have to submit, they have to force women into submission. A woman submits to a stoic man automatically. So she comes with the nature of her mother and changes your kitchen to exactly the kitchen of her mother. So she cooks what her mother taught her to cook instead of you training her to cook what you want her to cook, because women are trainable. But because you're there thinking that she has to come in and cook these good foods for you, but she's cooking the foods that her mother taught her, so she doesn't even have an identity in terms of the kitchen. What do you expect? If her mother was diabetic, all of you are going to be diabetic, and then you'll blame it on genes. But people are fixing their kitchen and genes are disappearing. Where were genes 70 years ago? Anyway, as I bring in these people, allow me to advertise this. On 30th of this month, all the way to the 9th of August, we'll be in Nairobi for our physical consultations. Use that contact that has been pinned there, 0707074722, to book your appointment. Number 2, our online consultations are ongoing every evening. You can use the same contact to do this, to book that. Okay? To book for your online appointment. Also, if you are new here, simply subscribe or follow us on TikTok, subscribe on Health and Wellness Spot on YouTube, and you can also subscribe on or follow us and join the group of people who have the same agenda on Telegram, Health and Wellness Spot. So welcome on board. And as usual, we are fasting. It's our 48-hour fast weekend, of course. So I hope that you've joined in. Do not even plan it. Just jump into the train. Let's go. Now, when you try to take these people in, everybody's running. Let's talk to Santiago. Marcus Santiago. Whose leader felt amazing and decided to give us... Yes, hello, Santiago.
Hello, Doc.
How are you?
I'm well, I thank God.
Do you know God or do you know about God?
I know God.
How do you know him?
Yes. I'll answer you in this perspective. Through nature.
Okay.
When I just see nature,
yeah,
I believe there is that supernatural being that made these things possible.
Okay.
So that convinced me that there is God.
Oh, good. And do you have anger?
I'll say yes, because I'm all human.
Okay.
So the human part of me definitely will be subdued to anger.
Okay. Do you believe there are people who don't have anger at all?
I don't think so.
How do you deal with anger?
I think.
Yeah.
Let me say, for example, when someone frustrates me,
yeah,
or does something on my side that is not proper,
okay,
I'll feel it. The reaction towards it, it's definitely anger.
So you believe other people can? Do you believe other people can actually offend you, like they can get you angry, or do you believe you get angry because of your expectations from other people?
About expectation, I'll not go in that perspective. About expectations, but to some extent, it can count. It can also count because you see, humans, naturally, we humans are just selfish.
Okay.
We want more than we can give.
So allow me to ask you, if somebody upsets you, it's not because you expected them to behave in a certain way, and because they did not behave in that way, you became angry. So it's about you, it's not about them. Because how else will somebody...
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, because how else will somebody get you angry if you have no expectations from them?
I concur with you. That's why I've said we are selfish.
Okay.
It's human nature to some extent. Yeah, we expect more than we can give.
So do you believe we have fallen away?
Do
you believe we have fallen out of God's favor? Because you see, The reality is, there's no way you can say you know God and you still have the nature of evil in you, because if you have anger, anger is the nature of evil. So you can't be of God and at the same time be of evil, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, because so now how would you say you know God when you have the nature of evil?
I think we can't say it's nature. It's an experience. When you are angry, it's just an experience. Like you are human.
No, but you see, but you see, you're human. Yes, you're human. Yes, but you belong somewhere. And the point is, you've fallen short of where you belong, and you've allowed the nature of evil to be in you. That's why you get angry. Because if you're filled with God and you have an identity, you will not be able to see somebody as less. You will not get angry at them because of what they do. Possibly they're just living their life to the fullest. And possibly maybe they have their own identities and they have fixed their life. So therefore they don't even have anger. And it's you who is getting angry. And you see, anytime you get angry, the pressure is on you. It's not on those people you're getting angry at. It's on you.
That's correct.
Yeah. So have you ever forgiven your mother?
Now I have a question. For my mother?
Yes. Have you ever faced your mother and told her, hey, I forgive you for trying to recreate me in your image? Have you ever tried that?
Unfortunately, my upbringing was all about our father.
Okay.
Yeah, we used, in fact, even up to date, I hate kitchen because of my father. Okay. We were not even allowed to go to kitchen. Okay. We were made to believe that kitchen chores belong to women, or our sisters, our big sisters. So I even grew up not trying to embrace the kitchen issues.
Okay.
I will not say that I grew up in that feminine environment, because our father was pretty tough.
Okay. And are you married?
Yes. I'm not married.
Oh, okay. You can now go ahead and ask me your question.
Now, to your perspective of feeling that feeling of anger.
Yes.
To human. Are you trying to say that when someone, for instance, or accidentally, or by chance, hurts you, or tries to offend you, or frustrates you, you just keep it, or leave it, or ignore it?
No, you don't ignore it. You don't react to it, because the reality is this: when you have your identity, you are adequate inside you, and nothing can offend you, nothing can upset you, nothing can hurt you. Because I believe you hurt yourself by expecting things from people. So the reality is, if you stop expecting things from people, nobody will hurt you, because you will now start believing that you're adequate enough. And this will only come when you have your own identity. And getting that identity means you have to forgive the mother and then forgive the father, so that you get your own identity. Because these are the people who put their identities in you. So when you have their identities, their nature is in you. And maybe their nature was evil and their nature is anger. So therefore you end up adapting that anger. So you have to get their identities off you by forgiving them. And you have to forgive them by telling them. But you see, right now, most people fear their mothers. So most men fear their mothers. They can't face their mothers and tell them the truth. And that's the reality. And most men get married without forgiving their mothers. So you see, from within, they start hurting because of themselves, because the anger that is in them is not because of the anger, because of other people. Because these people are designed by God, the same time God who designed you. So they were put there for a reason. So if you are cool with this situation, have you ever thought about this way? If somebody is abusing you and then you're just silent, what happens?
The abuser gets offended.
Exactly the point. That is the point. Because if you have a confrontation with somebody and then you just go silent and just stare at them, possibly you can ask them, are you okay? Bro, that argument is done. And that's how you do it. You don't have to react over it. You don't have to prove a point. You don't have to behave as though you want to be the best in the argument, okay?
Yes, what if now, Doc, from that perspective, sometimes, do you know, people treat silence as rudeness to some extent?
I know that, but you see, That is none of our business. Your business is to fix you. Whatever they do is their business. They have to find their identities also. Okay? So you came alone, you live alone. And that's the beauty about life, which means you are adequate. And you see, everybody is born with one identity. But the person who teaches you something, or somebody who inputs their will on you, is the one who gives you the identity. And possibly that's the mother. And then the father follows suit. But you see, the father is supposed to protect you against the identity that's coming from the mother. But fathers have become weak to an extent that they don't even understand this. So these children get the identities from the mothers and the parents, and then now they become chaotic. So the reality is, that's how you do it. You have to get the identity for you to see things differently.
Correct. But Doc,
yeah,
you see, when you look at the system today, right from the West,
yes,
to even in Africa, you see the system is just designed to destroy men to some extent. I'm not trying to justify or try to protect the ignorance of men.
Yeah.
But to some extent, don't you see it's just an arranged agenda to destroy men in this society?
It's not even
elevating a woman or something.
Yeah, it's true, but you see, the war is not about the man or the woman. The war is just a spiritual war where people hate God because they have the nature of evil. So they hate God and they hate the order of family. So if somebody hates the family and hates the order of God, cannot understand the nature and the order of God, this is somebody who will keep on fighting the man, because women know they do very well under a man, and a stoic man for that matter. But you see, even before these things started, before these movements of weakening the man started, men were already weak because they did not even know God. They knew about God, but they did not know God. So again, all these wars, physically they look so interesting, and there's so much about it, but the end result is always about the good and the evil. And let's say this: if you fix yourself as a man, and then another man fixes themselves, who will beat the men?
Nobody.
And that's the point. So we need to fix us so that women can align. The problem is we blame those who are actually sponsoring and funding these things, but we are doing nothing about it.
Okay, but I think by fixing ourselves as men, I think we should focus on our original identity, who is the Creator Himself. So I think we just run to God, then He gives us His own original identity, and then we are fixed.
But do you know the earthly representation of God is the biological father?
Okay.
Yeah. So
I didn't know.
So you have to go back to the father for you to go back to the father. You can't love he who you don't see when you don't love the one that you see. So you have to fix your relationship with the father, and when that relationship is perfect, you have an identity now. So it starts by that, and that's why I insist on the forgiveness part, because you have to get the identities off the way. When you just go back and fix the relationship between you and your father, everything else just flows for you. You will not even have to care about what other people are doing, because it's none of your business. Okay? Because you came alone, you live alone, and that's the beauty about life.
Yeah, that's true, but it depends with the upbringing.
It doesn't depend with the upbringing. It depends with you, because now you have the information. Simply follow it. Okay? Because you see, if you say but and then you say it depends with that's you actually handing over your power to other people. It doesn't depend with them. It is all in you.
Hey, but Doc, let me tell you the truth.
Yes.
To tell you the truth, this whole package of forgiveness,
yes,
it's for the few. I'm telling you, for real.
Of course. Then
you ask anybody.
Yes.
They'll just tell you there are some things that it's just difficult.
Bro, facing a mother.
To just say.
Every man fears their mother. I don't know why, but because we relate to them because we have their identities. So yeah, so I think we will get there, but one step after the next.
No, I think this masculinity issue should be fixed sooner than later.
Amazing.
Because there is trouble.
Amazing. Thank you, my man. Yeah. Now you see, when you try to fix masculinity, you will be labeled a toxic masculinity, or what do you call it? Toxic masculinity, right? But there's nothing like toxic masculinity. There's nothing like that. If you go deeper into it, it's just a spiritual war. That masculinity is secondary to the spiritual war. It is secondary to the spiritual war. Whether you like it or not, everything that is happening is just good or evil. It turns down. It always boils down to good and evil. You're either evil or you're righteous, or you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Most people want to sin but still identify with God. Like, it's the nature of man to sin. You're identifying with evil and at the same time thinking you're identifying with God. It's not possible. You can't have anger and have love, because love and anger cannot sit in the same heart. You choose you. Yes, F. Hey, F.
Yeah, it's Francis.
Oh, Francis, how are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm doing fine. Do you know God or do you know about God?
I know. I have actually started knowing him recently.
Okay, tell us about that.
Okay. For the many years I was in church, and actually was a part of praise and worship team, and I was doing all the church things, but I realized that I didn't really know him.
Okay.
Yeah, because the picture that was painted of God to me is based on what the pastor said.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't ever know him for myself.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah, so there was some story. Okay, I'm a Christian. Maybe
Yes.
it's good to just say that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm hearing myself. It's like there is an echo or something.
On my side, I think I'm hearing you so clearly.
Okay, if I'm clear from your side, then it's okay. So, as I was reading the Bible, years back, I would see some, contradicting characters of who God is. At some point, he's killing. At some point, he's saying that he is love. At some point, he has come to show grace. And then I was just confused about who is this God. But then later, I came to realize that, Christ is the express image of the invisible God.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to see God, then I have to see Christ. He is God in human form.
Okay.
And I realize that he says in John chapter 10, verse 10, that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, but God has come, or the Christ has come to give us life and life abundantly.
Mm-hmm.
And God does not have a dual character. He is a father, he is love, and he is good at all times. Literally, like that thing that we say that God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. That is who God is.
Okay. So allow me.
The absence of light.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
No,
okay.
Keep going, keep going.
Tell me. Yeah, the absence of light automatically means that there is darkness. So we have to understand, like, what dispensation was there when all these things were happening. Yeah, we need to understand that. And the mission of God basically is just to give us life, and that is what God does. So just coming to understand, I had so many questions about God, about, how we got here, who I am, but now when I came to know God through that one way, which is Christ, because he's the way, the truth, and the life, that is when everything now started making sense. And the more I know him, is the more I'm now getting to know more about myself as a person.
Amazing.
Because I now realize that I'm a new creation.
Do you sin?
I do.
Okay. And why do you sin when you're already knowing God?
Let me explain this. Sin is a nature. Let's start by that. By the virtue that I was born of a woman, I understand that we take after the nature of where we come from. So being born of a woman who was a sinner, I automatically in that nature, which was sin. But then I was born again in the spirit. I now look like my Father, who is God.
Okay.
God is righteous. So the same way I didn't have to sin to become a sinner because it was a nature, is the same way today I've become righteous because of the nature of my Father who has birthed me. Okay. My Father is righteous, so I look like my Father in the spirit. But now, I am still in the flesh.
Okay. Tell me something. Tell me something here. If you are of the nature, because you said sin is a nature, is like form of nature, right? Which is basically the nature of evil. So how is it possible that somebody can have God and still have the nature of evil in them?
Okay. I think you've read where Paul, I'm answering that question. I think you've read in the book of Romans where Paul actually was saying whatever he wants to do, he's not doing. Whatever he doesn't want to do is what he keeps on doing. Who is going to save him from that situation? And then now he says that it is not he that sinneth, but his members, the members of his body. Are you getting that?
Yes.
So we have to understand that we are a spirit and we have a soul and we have a body. The moment you understand how those three operate, then you'll be able to know that we've been born eternally. In the spirit, we've been born again eternally.
So are you born again?
And we have... Yes, I am.
But why would you be born again and then sin? It doesn't make sense, because you see, you're born again from the flesh into the spirit. And when you're born again, you actually become of the nature of God. So the nature of God means you have an identity of God. So he reveals things to you. And now you don't even have power on what you're doing. He's just controlling. You're actually taking control over whatever you're doing. And that's how he protects you. But then if you don't have that identity, how will... Okay, let me just ask you this. Were you raised from a family of both parents?
Yeah.
Are they still alive?
Yeah.
Have you ever forgiven your mother for actually trying to impose her identity on you?
I never knew it was an issue until I found this discussion today.
Oh, so you've never forgiven your mother?
I didn't even know I had to forgive her. I didn't even know much about that.
Okay. But how would you have an identity when there was an identity that it was imposed to you when you're growing up? Because whatever you know right now are actually thoughts that were put in you by somebody. And the first person who put those thoughts in you was your
That's
mother.
True. Yes.
So can you face your mother and ask for forgiveness or even forgive her? Are you capable of doing that?
Personally, to me, whatever pertains forgiveness is not an issue. If I feel that is something that needs me to forgive, I don't have an issue with that.
So can you face your mother and do that? Is it possible?
But she had to teach me something, you know.
That is the point.
When growing up, like I had.
Are you afraid
I
of
had to be taught something.
Are you afraid of her?
Yes.
Are you afraid of her?
Imagine I'm not.
Why don't you face
I'm
her?
not.
Why don't you face her? Because yes, I understand she taught you something.
Because. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now that I've, I never thought that maybe getting those ideas imposed when I was so young and giving me some sort of an identity.
Okay.
I never thought it was an issue until now.
Do you believe God talks to people?
I believe God talks to people because He does to me. He's my Father. So, the Bible says that we are His sheep. We know His voice. So if we know His voice, then He speaks.
So do you hear Him talking to you with a human voice, or take me through that?
I don't hear Him talking to me with a human voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe just to share a little bit. There's a time that I was in a situation where I didn't really know what to do, and I was actually in a place of prayer, just asking God, what's the next step? Like, how should I get out of this situation? And then, like, things were so orchestrated. I just got this person, like, so random, talking to me about things that I'm actually going through and giving me a solution, and that couldn't be a coincidence.
No,
that is how the whole thing was sorted.
Amazing.
I prayed to God, and the guy came.
Okay.
So I can't call that a coincidence, and it's not once or twice.
But you see, you came alone, which means if God wanted to talk to you, He'll talk to you directly through your identity. But you sound like you're scared of getting your identity from your parents. So how would God communicate to you when you don't have an identity? Because God reveals things through your identity to you. He cannot send somebody to come and talk to you, because that's the reason why He wants you to have your own identity.
Okay, that was just one of the ways in which maybe I get your question, but I just feel that was one way of God trying to reach me. You know, actually, once you get born again, as you asked me, automatically you become a son of God. We agree with that. And I don't see the need of you being the father, or maybe if you're my father, I don't see the need of actually going to the neighbor to tell me what I need to know. You can actually come to me directly because I'm your son, right? I get that point. But now you know, once you've been born again, we were so much it takes now, the Bible says that we should not be conformed to the patterns of this world, but we should be transformed by the renewal of our mind. Now, transformation is a process.
Yeah. What?
And now, when it is happening, God can be so gracious enough to be speaking in ways that we can understand before maybe we get to the ultimate point. The same way Christ was speaking through parables.
Yeah. No, but you see, even if Christ was speaking through parables, Christ did not bring in anything new. He actually just brought in the idea that these things that were being taught by the Pharisees, he actually simplified them, and the normal people actually related to it, and that's why the Pharisees started hating him. So he actually made it simple for people to understand.
Mm-hmm.
The things that the scholars had made it so difficult to understand, right?
Yeah. Actually, maybe if I may say something, Daktari, do you know the whole Bible is one message about Christ? The whole Bible, because even in the Old Testament, it was basically about Christ. It's about a message of salvation, God reconciling us to Himself, back to Himself.
Okay.
And just allow me to highlight just 4 points there. For instance, when we are seeing Moses raise that serpent, as he was actually directed by God, that I don't know what it was made of, and then when the Israelites would look up to it, they get healed. That was simply talking about how Christ would be crucified, and when you look up to Him for salvation, we are healed eternally from sins. Right? That's about identity, right?
Yeah.
We gain new identity in Christ. When you see Jonah in the belly's fish for 3 days, that's about how Christ will be in the grave for 3 days. The New Testament says that. When we are seeing, actually, very true.
Let me ask you a question. If somebody is on this platform and is not a Christian, how do you expect him to relate with your story? Does it mean they are not of the nature of God?
They are of the nature of God.
Do you love your other brothers who are not Christian?
So much.
Do you believe in their?
Because how can I love God?
Do you believe in their gospel?
How can I love God if I don't love the one I see? Please.
Do you believe in their gospel?
Let me tell you something. As much as I may not agree with everything, I have to also understand that if I was born a Hindu, I would be worshiping the way they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Trust me.
So you're actually coming to my point. So you're a Christian because you're born and raised to a Christian father and mother, right?
Bro, I agree. Okay. I can't dispute that.
So would you say that your view of the religion stuff and spiritual stuff is actually skewed because that's how best you know, because that's how you were trained? Assuming you are born on a free ground and you're exposed to all these religions and you made a choice to just choose your own, do you think you still be a Christian?
After understanding God in this perspective, yes, I would. But before, I would have been confused. But right now, I would.
Amazing. Now, somebody's asking a question here. Is it a question or a comment? I want you to comment on it, because you sound very spiritual and I like that.
Okay.
Do men fear their mothers or do they respect their mothers?
Do men fear their mothers or do men respect their mothers?
Yes.
I at some point think they fear.
Yeah. Yeah? Atari. What do you think?
I think at some point. Okay, that is subjective, right? That's gotta be subjective at some point.
Okay. And do you believe in the order of God?
Right?
That God above men, men above women, women above children? Do you believe in that order?
Yeah, I do.
So you believe men are the ultimate providers, regardless of what your woman is doing?
Okay, I think it is, yeah. I believe.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, man, for your insights. I appreciate that. It was helpful for me because I've learned something new from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I appreciate the fact that you came in with a lot of energy and you came in with an open mind. You didn't come in tied some form of things, because I would have whipped you. But now, thank you so much for that, bro. That was insightful, and we can easily feel your vibe. You're relatable. So thank you so much for coming through, bro. Queen Nelly says, "I've struggled a lot with anger, bitterness, and fear. I've prayed and fasted, but but it keeps recurring. I was raised by a single mother." Oh, amazing. Now, listen, Queen Nelly, the best thing you can do to yourself is to seek or to find your own identity. Now, it might look like a joke, but the reality is that is not your nature. You're suffering, and that is not your nature. God did not bring you here to suffer. You're not designed to suffer. You're designed to have an identity, and through that identity, you have the solutions to whatever thing that you're going through. But you see, when you're raised by a single mother, the reality of the story is you only have one side of the story. And apparently, sometimes because of the arguments and the issues that went between the mother and the father, what happens is children tend to bear that burden of sin. Because you see, the mother will now recreate you in her own image, and she will block any information that has to come from the other party. So therefore, you only have one side of the story. And that is the problem, because you need two sides of the story. And even though you don't get the two sides of the story, you need an identity. And you cannot get an identity without going back to your biological father, who is actually your earthly representation of God. Okay, so that means you have to go back by forgiving the mother, and then you seek to have an engagement with your biological father. Because if you don't do that, the problem is you will end up attracting people who are just like you, who are chaotic, who are angry, and they have this bitterness, and it will be just chaotic every other time. You might think that maybe these people, you will start blaming them. You'll think that these people are the ones who are actually causing you all these problems. So the only thing you can do for now is, one, ask to ever find a chance, if your father is still alive, to meet him. If you don't, if your mother is actually still blocking you, simply forgive her and tell her. Do not forgive her in your head. Most of us forgive in the head and we settle down. Tell her that I forgive you for actually trying to impose your identity on me, because you are suffering already, and that means you are in your own hell. But again, most people love their hell. That's why they never take a chance to face their mothers and tell them the truth, because they fear. Because inside them they have the fear, they have the nature of evil. And nature of evil is actually fear, anger, and the thoughts and imaginations. You hear women saying, me, I'm an overthinker. You're not an overthinker. You are struggling with identity. And that's the reality. They get all these problems of depression. And you see, when you are this angry, you can imagine the energy that you portray when somebody is trying to talk to you. You portray the energy of anger. You're just waiting for him to say something that doesn't go with you, and you get angry. And that's what you do all the time. Every single thing, you're actually looking for a mistake from people to just get provoked and tell them and air out the anger, because you're suffering. It's hell. So nobody likes hell, but most people want to be in their hell for a lifetime until they get to face their mothers. That's when they get that identity of their mothers off them. So this is basically the identity of your mother, and you need to forgive her. Okay? Yeah. Amazing. Is there any other comment here so they can read it? And again, this life is not for everybody. The Bible says, in your anger, do not sin. Therefore, anger is an emotion as much as happiness and joy is. Whether we know God, we are only able to control anger, but not completely eliminate it. The reality is this, Betty Gashao, you are accepting that the nature of evil has taken precedence over you and is living within you. Now, do not misquote the Bible all the time, okay? You are actually relying on intellect to understand the Bible. Intellect and common sense are not the same. Intellect is the nature of evil because we get it from people. But common sense comes from God. So when you have common sense, you don't even need to read the Bible to remember it. You need the Bible as the guiding principle. You need the Quran as a guiding principle. But most of us have actually, we read the Bible, but we don't practice it. We don't practice anything. So we just read it for the sake of reading it so that we feel that we are Christians. But the reality is, the identity crisis is there, whether you like it or not. So if you have anger, you are of the nature of evil. You've allowed the evil nature to stay in you and to build a home in you. So the only thing you need to do is to get that evil out of you, because you're suffering. You know how anger totally kills you. And as a woman, when you have anger, you can do something bad and then regret later, a minute later. So why would you allow the nature of evil to stick in you? Yes, Mickey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
I'm fine, thank you. I think we should have started this live with the definition of terms like what's anger, what's fear, like what is the difference between respect and fear?
That is
Because
intellect.
we're getting mixed up in all these things.
No, that is intellect. You cannot take us to the intellect direction. Simply take us to the spiritual direction. Why would you bother defining anger? You don't know what anger is?
Not really, but
No, do you know what anger is?
like yes.
So why would you want us to define it?
When it comes to parents, we think we respect them, not like we resent them.
But how would you know? How would you know if you respect them instead of resenting them? How would you know when you don't have an identity?
Who hates their parents? Nobody.
Resentment is not hatred. Everybody says they love their parent.
Resentment.
Do you love your mother?
Yes, they do. Yes, so much.
Do you get angry?
Yes.
So if you get angry, that means you don't have love in you. So how can you love your mother when you have the nature of anger? Anger is evil and love is is godly. So you don't have God in you, and God is love. So how would you love somebody when you have anger in you? Does it even make sense to you?
Anger is not permanent. Love is permanent. Anger is not permanent. I'll get angry maybe 10 minutes, then it's over.
What are you saying?
Over it.
But a heart that has anger does not have a love, Mickey. That's the reality that you have to face. A heart that has love has no anger. A heart that has anger has no love. They cannot sit in the same heart.
Okay. So what is it? What is that we feel for our parents?
Pardon?
What is it that we feel for our parents?
You tell me. It's you who feels.
For me, I think I feel love for my parents.
But you have anger. How would you feel love when you have anger?
Well,
hey. listen.
Okay.
This world is just divided into two, Mickey. The evil and the good. Period. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's no upper katikati. And I can be angry but still love somebody. There's nothing like in between here. So you either get the forgiveness or get the spiritual aspect of it and know God so that you can get the love. And then do away with the evil nature, which is the anger. But there's no way you can say, I love people, but I still hate other people. I get angry at somebody. Why would you get angry at somebody who is the image of God? Which basically means you get angry at God, right?
Really?
Are you not made in the image of God?
Let me ask you a question.
Are you made in the image of God?
I am, yes, I am.
So if somebody hates you, do they hate God?
No, they hate what I do.
Are you made in the image of God?
Yes.
So if somebody hates you, does he hate God?
No, they hate what I do to them.
I rest my case. Continue. Amazing. Ask your question.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let's say someone slapped you. What will you feel? Is it anger? Will you get afraid of the person, or what will you feel?
In the beginning, nobody hurts you. You hurt yourself by expecting things from people.
Okay.
I mean, who has the ability to hurt you when you have adequacy inside you?
So if someone slaps you, you'll say, "Thank you, sir.
But I'm
not angry at you."
That's an abuse. That's the nature of evil. So they're evil people. So why would just somebody come from the air and just slap you? When was the last time somebody slapped you out of nowhere? That's the nature of evil.
The guy who was here, you asked him about if someone starts abusing you, then you keep quiet. The person will get annoyed. What if he gets annoyed, then overreacts and slaps
But you see, it's none of your business. Why are you concerned about that person? Why don't you be concerned about you? And it's you I'm talking to, not the other guy. So let me focus on you. Why would you in the first place have an argument with somebody? It means you don't even understand what you're doing there. Where do arguments come from? They stem from you people being inadequate.
Okay.
Nobody just comes in and argues with you from nowhere. Why? What for?
Okay. Yeah, nobody will argue from nowhere.
Exactly.
But then people argue all the time because we don't agree all the time.
But you cannot say nobody hurts you and then you say but, which means the first statement is actually nullified. So stick on one statement. Do you think people hurt you?
No, it's my expectations that hurt myself, that hurt me.
I rest my case.
Okay, so let's leave it at that because I'll not. Now the other question is, you said that biological fathers are the ones that bring us to God, right?
They are the earthly representation of God to the child. Yeah.
So what happens to some people who are not raised by the biological fathers and now they are grown-ups?
Why were they not raised by biological fathers?
They don't know God. Maybe their mothers conceived them when they were not married, then they got married to different people.
Well, you see, that's the children paying for the mistakes of the mother. So the child has to actually be taught to find the father. So why would the mother block the son from knowing the father, the biological father? Because she moved on? You have no answer?
Okay, sorry, my network.
No, if the woman is genuine and the woman understands the nature of God and loves God, why would she block the children from knowing their biological father, even though she is now in a new relationship? Why would she do that?
I don't know. But then you see something that is protection. Like you
what are you protecting these children from? A woman cannot protect children. It's the man who protects the children. The role of the father is to protect children. And the role of the father is to protect children from the emotions that are coming from the mother. So why would the woman...
So their fathers died when they were young?
Well, death is a different case. Forgive the mother and you get your identity. That death is different. But you people tell children that their fathers died, but they didn't, right? And every child has that longing from within of a father. Every child has that from within, from inside them. They have a hole and a space that they long for their biological fathers.
Okay, let's say that you are raised by a different father, for example. Then you come to know that, oh, this man is not my father. I have a biological father. When you are around, let's say, 30 or 28 years older, then you are used to this man who married your mother years ago as your father, and he's the one who has raised you. How do you build that relationship with this other man?
Now you see, it's like telling me there is a 30-year-old orphan. Can there be a 30-year-old orphan? I mean, like, and he's crying foul. You know, I'm 30 years and my dad died when I was 15 and my mother died when I was 2. A 30-year-old orphan. Yeah. Listen, the reality is at 30 and now you're still clinging on this guy, but you know from deep within you're longing for a biological father. If you find out this information at 30, simply find the biological father and mend the relationship and forgive the mother, period. So you can have an orphan at 30, but
okay.
but
so
you see,
there is no need of relationship with the biological father. It can just be like that because
no, it can't be like that. Why would you block a son or a daughter from their biological father? Why? That's the nature of evil. That is evil. These children long for the father. So why would you block them?
Okay.
And then when they find it out on their own?
Hey. Okay. How would you help someone who is in that position? Like, this person just knew that the father they thought is their father is not their father. Is not their biological father. And then they come to know their biological father when they're adults.
They should forgive you. They should forgive you and go find their fathers and mend their relationship with their fathers, period. If they don't do that, the relationship that they're going to get in will be chaotic all the time, because until God is establishing that relationship, it's not going to happen. So you're actually punishing your children by doing that, by blocking them from getting to their earthly representation of God.
Hey, I guess some of us, our cases are helpless.
They are not helpless. Everybody has to be fixed, and there's nothing like helpless. It's just that you are finding it hard to accept the truth, because the reality is, if I get married to somebody to possibly a single mother, right? Why would
Yes.
if I know God and I know the nature of God and the order of God, and then I teach my woman, or I attract a woman who knows the nature of God, why would we fight to block the children from knowing their biological father? That means I don't actually appreciate the nature
I
of
don't
God.
know. I don't know why women do that, because
No,
some of us we found ourselves like, this is
because
not your father.
you know
Then
very well,
you,
a woman is an emotional creature. That's their nature, and the emotions tend to take control over them. So when a woman is married to a stoic man, most of their problems disappear, because this man pulls them out of that emotional hell, because the man teaches them God, and the man behaves, so a woman adapts to that. But you see, the problem is, those men are the ones that you people label as toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity.
well, I think we need. I'll take my time and go through this live and synthesize, because mostly I'm lost.
So allow me to ask you the last question on this one, yeah? And I want you to be as honest as possible. If a lady is a single mother, and then she's trying to find relationships, or a relationship, or a man, do you think she's trying to look for a husband, or a stepdad first before a husband?
Oh, well, that is hard. I don't know.
No, it's not hard. I've given you
Yes, I
options.
don't
Just choose one. Do you think a lady who is a single mother is trying to find a husband, or a stepfather before a husband?
Father.
Hmm?
A father first.
Exactly the point. Have a good night.
Good night.
That's a question most people will get upset with. Good, let's read something here. Anger is not the absence of God in a person's life. I think knowing God comes handy in handling anger. Now you see, Okpara, I appreciate that post, but the reality is, anger is the nature of evil. A heart that they cannot be light here and at the same time be darkness. There can't. It's either there's light or there's darkness. You can't say, I have anger, but I know God. You know about God because you've read about him, but you don't know him. That's why you have anger, because you allowed evil to build a home in you. And then you love that evil. That's why you defend it. So they cannot sit in the same heart. That one, I don't know how you'll understand it, but it's the reality. So how do you explain, this is Nyota, so how do you explain the many times God got angry and dealt with the Israelites? So is God evil? Ama ni mimi sielewi. But do you know that the same God is the one who created Satan? Do you know that? That's why we believe maisha ni mtihani. So everything you're doing is like you're actually trying to choose between good and evil, so that when you're choosing the other side, it's like Satan is mocking God. Like, hey, even this one, look at this one. I told you this one, I'll take him. I don't think anger is sin. This is okay. That one I've read it. Good. Let's talk to divine health. What about us who are already grown and don't know the biological father? Now you see, if you're grown and you don't know the biological father, you still are struggling with an identity. So you will have to. And the only person who stands between you and knowing your biological father happens to be the mother. So you have to actually ask her. If she denies, forgive her. Tell her that you've forgiven her, and that's it. Yes, a divine
Hello,
help.
Doctor.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Yes, talk to me.
No, this topic is so interesting and it's so exciting at the same time. With me, I understand that everyone is in the image of God.
Is in the image of God?
Yes.
That's true.
So we all have the nature of God. The challenge is that we are trained we are trained differently. That is why people miss or lose who they are along the way.
Okay.
So people that they tend to how you raise them. They believe in how they are trained, not in the plan of God. So even the Bible, the whole Bible is pointing us to God, pointing us to Christ, but actually pointing us to ourselves, because when we find God, we find ourselves.
But how would you find God? How do you find God?
Just what I said now. Like if I was to use the Bible, when you study the Bible, the whole Bible is pointing you to God, to understanding Him, to understanding Christ. So when you understand Him and understand Christ, you get to know yourself.
How would you understand when you are relying on intellect? Because most of us read the Bible with intellect.
The thing, to me, like we were talking about the voiceless voice.
Yeah.
To me, wisdom is from within, because wisdom always bears witness with something that is extraordinary. That like as you are talking now, I might have not known some of the things that you say, but when you say them, because they come up with a different atmosphere, they reach my spirit somehow. So my understanding becomes different from everything that I have read from the books. Now it is not an intellectual, it is the wisdom that I cannot explain, because it becomes easy for you to learn from within as compared from outside. That soft voice that you were talking about, that voiceless voice, if you get it from within you, it becomes easy. That is why you will never find yourself offended. It doesn't matter what happens, because your life now is from within you. It is not from outside. So anything that is happening out of you doesn't impact or influence you.
Awesome. Do you get angry?
No, I don't. I have long dealt with that. I don't, not anymore. I used to.
Oh, so you don't get angry?
I don't.
Okay. Were you raised by both parents?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Who?
And I'm staying with my mother now.
How old are you?
I'm 41.
Why are you staying with your mother?
No, I'm staying with my mother because of her condition. She's staying with me and my husband.
Oh, so you're married?
Yes.
You have children?
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. How many?
3.
Amazing. Keep saving lives, and I hope your mother gets better.
Yes, she is getting better because she's off medication.
Awesome,
She had stroke 2022.
Okay.
And then she was on medication. Last year, I stopped her from taking medications and I started treating her with food.
Okay.
And I was still doing certain things wrong until I met you. Now she can even fast. She was fasting even yesterday. She is getting much, much stronger. Thank you.
You're welcome. And just to ask, because I'm interested in this, because you see, those people who keep on saying marriage does not work. How long have you been married?
Yes.
How long have you been married?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
Do you obey your husband?
Yes, I do. I do. I do.
Amazing.
A lot. And
amazing.
To be, I'm always telling sisters that my life experience since I have been growing, I've seen that ladies who I grew up with, who tend to love, like a lady would say, I love this guy. Have you seen him? He's so handsome, or he is rich, or he has 1, 2, 3. Those people who love men, they are the ones who are crying now. So I don't believe in a woman loving a man. I believe in men loving a woman and a woman submitting.
There we go. Not my words, her words. Exactly the reality. Thank you so much, Divine Health, for coming through. I appreciate that, and
Thank
that
you,
was
sir.
educative. That was amazing. That was amazing. That was amazing. The beauty of every one of us is to end up with a person who is actually going to protect you if he's a man, going to protect you, going to provide for you, and going to show you the way, lead you as a woman. And the beauty of every woman is to raise children to a stoic man. Do not confuse a man and a male. Do not confuse the two. Oh man, that was amazing. Very nice, very nice. Mr. Thinker, very nice. That one, Yes, Prof.
Yes, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Yes, talk to us, bro.
I'm following, I'm learning, and I would also like to say that it is not easy, or women like just the previous, what was her name? The lady was just here. She's a rare one because she understands the basics.
Yeah, Divine Health.
Yeah, of marriage. And then it's too, the other time I requested you talk about marriage and you're talking about it, and maybe I joined a bit late when you were talking about fatherhood.
Yes.
Single motherhood, and all these things.
Yeah.
And I'm learning, and it stands that the absence of a man, and that is a biological father in one's life.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beginning of losing identity.
Yeah.
Regardless of who that man is, regardless of what that man did. You see, sometimes people get the main reason why people connect fathers and their children, it's for their own personal issues. People really forget that we first have, when you meet someone, then this is a husband, and then children are a different story. So the moment people get in marriage, I really think they should know that, yes, you're going to become a husband, and again, you're going to become a father.
Exactly.
And when a husband and a wife actually have their own issues and part ways, then they are children. And that should be treated like a different, independent story.
Yeah.
Such that you separate, and now you look at children, allow the children to meet their father regardless of what happened, so that they have a sense of identity. But so many people fail in that. Actually, I'm speaking as if I'm married, but I'm just knowledgeable. I'm not.
It's allowed. This is an open discussion. It's allowed, bro.
Yeah, so that is where the problem comes most of the time, because people do forget about children when they go their separate ways. And you realize that women use children now as, do I say clickbait or something, to now put the man down, because sometimes the man doesn't want any business to do with her. And now the moment the man talks about children, then she realizes, this is where I get him now. And now they take advantage. You are not going to see these children unless you do ABCD, which sometimes is not reasonable.
And that's why I said women have an innate way of controlling things. And if they are unable to control the man through sex, they will actually try to control him through the children, turning the children against him so that he can give them the attention they want. And that's exactly what happens when a family is broken. Because the women try to remold the children in their own identity and in their own being. And when they do that, they turn the children against their biological father, who is actually an earthly representation of God. And that is a problem. So these children will keep on suffering until they realize that there was a mistake somewhere, so they have to go back to the biological father for them to restrain to bring back the order.
Sure, I do agree. So finding your roots, and there are many stories of people who have grown until they are adults, and they start looking for their fathers at that age, and you realize, what was wrong all this time? Why wouldn't you look for your father all this time? And sometimes while they're looking for their fathers, their mothers may not be ready to share those stories, or their mothers are even dead. Yeah. And then one day you sit down, you realize that you are so lonely and you don't know where to start. Yeah. You must start from your father's land.
It's that simple. Go back to the roots.
Regardless of whether he was a night runner.
Go back to the roots. Even if he's in the trenches drinking alcohol like crazy, that is your biological father. And at some point, he was the alpha male to your mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, amazing.
Okay, now maybe one question I'd ask you.
Yes.
Okay.
Just go ahead. Ask the question.
You wanted to say. My question is, there's and this is a bit controversial. It is true that sometimes there are fathers who let people down, or let their family down, or even let their women down.
Yes.
And sometimes you realize that there is anger that comes in, which we have said that it is evil. And it comes in because you realize that truly, there are men who fail. How do you handle these men, as much as the children may want to know their fathers and their roots? Because sometimes I do say that relationship with a father is a two-way thing. As a son or a daughter, you may need to have a relationship with your father. But relationship is a two-way thing. You realize that your father maybe is rejecting you because he doesn't like your mother, or maybe he doesn't want to take some sorts of responsibilities. How do you go about that, so that we are not just favoring men even when they fail?
Bro, that's a very good question, bro, because actually at some point I'd seen this conversation leaning towards the side of attacking women. That is not right. The reality is all problems are starting again from the father. You see, if we had a stoic father, the women will not misbehave. If we had stoic men who understand the nature and order of God and who are willing to provide, to protect exclusively, we will not have all this chaos, because women like to align to that. Women can submit to such a powerful man. They want to submit and raise children to this man. But you see, as I said in the beginning, that the problem started here from the fathers. Our fathers never understood this. They never knew God. They knew about him, but they never understood the nature of God. Yes. And then it's not even their fault also. Their grandfathers did the same thing. So it's actually a generational curse. And that we are just suffering from the consequences of a chain. So when you get the information, you start changing this, because it's for the benefit of you and the generation that comes from you. Because yes, I understand there are men who come and possibly they were just having fun, and apparently the woman thought this was the alpha male, deposited the children there. But you see, the reality is women would actually, the world would be better if men went back to being men, because men will not have children outside wedlock. Men will respect the order of life. Therefore, these children will not be raised by single mothers, because there will be men there, so they will take responsibility of it. But you see, the point is, nowadays we want to bite more than we can chew. Men want, because I'm a doctor, I have to marry a doctor. Mistake number one. And I'm actually succumbing to the pressure that is coming from my mother. That is mistake number one, because you see, if I marry a doctor, I cannot provide exclusively for her. You understand? So I think it has to come to a place where we are interested in the character more than we are interested in the person. Because when you go for the, now you see them talking about Nyash and all these things, and it's all physical and all casual. But when you go deeper into it, no man should have children outside wedlock. No woman should have children outside wedlock, which means restoring the order of God means children will be born under wedlock, so that no child is born out of wedlock, and therefore they will not be raised by either a mother or a father on their own. Because these children need the two parents, and they complement each other. So if we restore that order in men, that means it's easier for us to restore the order in women, because women are good at adapting. Okay? Yeah, so women adapt with the man they have. So you can imagine if we push this agenda and then men get their order, we have restored already the order of God. So if men know God before getting into marriage or before having an affair, because you see, like for example, right now, how many men fornicate knowing that it's a sin?
Many.
Exactly. So the consequences of their own ejaculation, they run away from, which basically means women are giving access to sex, because women are the ones who give access to sex. They are giving access to sex so easily because they fear, if I don't give access to this man, he will end up leaving me. So you see, when a woman sees it that way, she gives access to the cookie. But that means from within her, she's not adequate, because she did not understand the nature of God. So she's not adequate and thinks that she can seek excitement, she can seek approval and validation by giving sex. And then when she gives sex, boom, this guy is gone, because this guy was interested in just having the affair. Now this guy is gone. So therefore, I think these things have to go back to being the same way they were, Kitambo. But again, remember this moment in time, a lot of men have become so weak, and that's why our children, our girls are leaving our homes to go and stay in their own homes. before they get married. Kitambo, it used to be a lady leaves the father's home straight into the husband's home. But nowadays, because of a lot of things, of course, they can live on their own and then experiment with life, and then now they put all these issues on one man later on in life, and that's not the ideal situation.
Yeah.
So it's a long thing, bro.
So I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. So my last question is, I have always believed in the notion that, because in our cultures, most African cultures, and speaking basically about Kenya, you realize that when marriages failed, well, it was mostly blamed on women. But now, based on the content I've acquired from books, online, and even platforms like this, if we say that men are the leaders of marriages, then it means that when marriages fail, the blame should mostly go to men. So I'm basically saying marriage failure should be blamed on men.
101%.
Why? Because when we talk of being a leader, when a company is failing, like our country is in a mess right now, we are blaming the president. We're not blaming the CSS, and there are so many people contributing to this failure, but we will always be on the neck of the president. So when we say that men are the leaders and we want to talk about marriages that are failing. So I think failed marriages are on men. I don't know what you think about that.
That is very true, because I think everybody's actually trying to play a deflective game. Women trying to say they don't need men until bills come in. Now they need men. So they are selective. And then men trying to blame women for broken marriages. And also, you've heard of men saying that this woman just gives me daughters, when the men are the ones who actually control the gender. You've heard of that. Yes. And then the society has actually blamed the woman, because now you see you're not bearing this guy a son who will actually take over his kingdom. But the reality is, men are the ones who control sex and gender. Regardless, no matter, I don't know the definition, but just say the sex. Let's use the sex, because the gender will bring issues. So the sex. And then now, so these men become weak in marriages. Actually, and I see, bro, I want you to get this right. You see, women have an instinct of buying the ambition in a man. They see the ambition in a man. So which means by the time a woman is joining you, she knows that she can sacrifice all her things to just align to your ambition. But when we get to that point, that's when we lose it, because we lose our ambition and focus on the woman now. And that's where we go wrong, because now, even now, we see parents who are trying to tell these sons that you need to marry a woman who will, you will join hands and she will build you and all these things. But the reality is, a man is supposed to be built before getting that woman. He's supposed to attract a woman when he's already having a kingdom, so that the woman moves into the kingdom. And that's how respect and submission is earned. But men have become weak. They share bills. Even on a date, a man is asking a woman, what do you do for a living? So from the dating, they got it all wrong, because when a woman answers innocently, in this man's mind, he's actually thinking, this one can actually help me pay some bills here and there. And that's where the problem comes in. So I believe women need to scrutinize men from the beginning, before you get into that relationship and give in. But again, it's difficult, because women are emotional creatures. So when you touch the soft parts, they just fall for it, and that's it, and they regret later. So what we need to do is we need to build the men. Make the men understand that it's their role to provide, to protect, and if we keep on deflecting and blaming women, we're actually getting it all wrong, because it shall never go right. But again, this is not a road for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a road for.
But while you say that, we also understand that in the modern system, we have career women. Actually, the statistics as it stands now is that more young women are employed than more young men. So sometimes you even meet at the workplace. Mm-hmm. Some of these some men marry when they marry someone whom even their salaries are almost the same, or their financial strength is almost the same. And or you just marry when you are the provider, and you marry a woman that you earn better than, or you are better than. Because one thing I believe in, for a marriage to survive, as a man, you must always strive to be better than your partner. So what happens is, you marry a career woman, tomorrow she gets a promotion, like she could be the CS, she could be anything, she could be the president, like in Tanzania. And then this woman now, because of the financial muscle, she becomes somehow, she becomes richer than you. How do you handle that? Because it is very possible and very, very quite likely to happen in the modern world.
Bro,
And how will you talk about channeling your finances, because you are the man, you need to provide, but now she's doing better than you. Where will you tell her to take her money?
good question again. Bro, if you're a mason and you earn 30,000 per month and you end up marrying a doctor who earns 300,000 per month, you will have to sleep 1 hour late and 1 hour, you will wake up 1 hour early, because whether you like it or not, you will have to make double the salary as a mason to ensure that the discipline and the respect and submission still comes from that doctor. Because the real case is this: if she's earning more than you, chances of you guys sharing bills are already going up, right? And you know very well women don't like paying bills.
Yes.
So regardless of the situation, one of my mentors actually was saying that if a woman is actually prioritizing career over her children, she doesn't love the children, because she will take more time doing her job and dedicate very little time to the children. So she doesn't love your children. I don't know how true that is, but the reality is, bro, if you're earning lower than her, chances of you losing that marriage is so high, because there is disrespect will come in. And that's why I think men's finances should be, you should be very, very skeptical with the finances. Like, let her know that you can provide, let her know that you can protect her, because you're actually having a good physique and you have the financial muscle. I'm putting that financial muscle in quotes. She knows that you're capable of providing, even though she's, because when will you know, or when will she know that she's earning more than you? If you disclose, right?
Yeah.
So if you disclose, you get in trouble, because you see, women have a way of opening doors that you cannot open as a man. So she might end up climbing ranks so fast than you, and then that becomes a serious problem. Now she becomes submissive to another man who is paying her bills, who is paying her rent, and who is paying her the salary. Now you have to make sure that if somebody else is paying her more money than you are earning, you have to work hard, bro. Or again, you start to believe that you chose the wrong one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a difficult one, because when you're in marriage already and then she climbs the ladders, bro, you will be intimidated, because itakuwa ngumu kwako.
It is a fact. And my parting shot is that this is just my mind. So I'm not saying it is what should happen, but for me, I believe that most women do not know, or do not have, they do not handle success very well. And that is why you find that most men can be on the higher ranks, but they will still manage most of the things. But there's always a mess, even in the family, when most women become successful.
Yeah. And maybe let me ask you just the last question, huh?
Yes.
Do you think women love working, or they enjoy being at places of work?
I think they enjoy being at the places of work, considering their nature as women.
Yes.
Not really working, because for them it's mostly for convenience, just being happy, just when things work for them. But you see, for a man, I believe that you work because you have to, such that if your office work fails, I've seen many graduates going to become like matatu, manambas, and anything. A man can do anything to get that money, but a woman will just be, you see, a woman would be so happy to just be a secretary and earn 30,000 and go back to her husband.
That is the point.
Cannot be happy with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you see, most women who are career women, they will tell you they are working to be independent, and then you ask them, what do you want to be independent from? And apparently they want to be independent from the man, which doesn't make sense. So if you are a career woman, well, just put family aside and go do your career. Is that simple, bro?
Yes.
Is that simple?
And that one also has repercussions with time. In the long run, it also has some repercussions.
Of course. Nature will judge you harshly, you know that. And the weird part is that question is very difficult even for women to answer. And women will not admit that most women don't love working. They love being at places of work.
They don't. These things have been explained. You realize as she gets old, when she was saying she was independent, life was good. When she gets to a certain age, they start adopting pets because they realize now I need a companion, I need a protector. A dog will protect you, but it cannot match a husband that you grew up together with. So these things, I've seen them. How they adopt these pets. You think it's just a pet. There's so much attached to a pet, but there's something that is lacking that can only come from a man.
Yeah.
It is a sad reality, but it is what it is.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much, bro. Bana. Hey, you've given us good insights, and we appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. So yeah, women on this platform, do you love working or do you love being in places of work? Because at least for men don't work to be independent from women. No, men work to provide for women and children. But on the other side, most women are working to be independent of the man, which doesn't make sense at all. We don't enjoy working. We work because we must provide for our families. That is Nancy. Nancy, do you see the problem is the work of a man to provide. So if you're working to provide for a man, you have to settle for the fate that this one. Eh? A man who has no job is supported by a woman. And then later, when the man succeeds, leaves the woman. You have a point, yes, you have a point. But you see, why would a woman support a man? A man is born adequate. Why would a woman support a man? Not unless she chooses to. If she chooses to, that's on her. But the reality is, a woman who is supporting a man, they must be married. If they're not married, why are you supporting him? Men have a way of figuring things out. We don't like working. We do it because is the only choice. Mickey is not the only choice. If you have a man in your life and this man can provide and protect you exclusively, the only choice you have is to raise his children. And women are very happy raising children from a stoic man. You leave her because she has been the provider. Yes, you see, men get intimidated by women providing, but of course we have males. Males love being provided for, and that's why. So they're actually seeking the mama's love because from within they have an identity of a mother, of their mother. So they have not left that identity. So they think that a woman is supposed to provide, and that's a problem. Okay, yeah. So we'll do 3 people and then we call it a night. Men, inside us, we have the instinct to provide and protect. Yes, engineer.
How are you, Doctor?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also fine.
Yeah, talk to us, bro. You're live.
Yeah, there's something maybe I wanted to. You were talking about the anger, and I wanted to clarify between anger and temper.
Okay. What's the difference?
Yeah, the difference is the temper is the tendency of becoming angry. So someone who gets, that's what we say.
Amazing.
When someone is, getting angry is not an issue. It's how you work on it. But then sometimes it can work for you. But
continue.
Okay. But being like tempered or always a hot temper, that's an issue. Like a man or like a woman, you need to work on it.
I almost asked you. So for you to have anger, you must have temper, or what do you mean?
Okay.
Can you have anger without temper?
You can have anger without temper. But you can't have temper without anger.
Okay, so let's separate the two. Now that you have anger without the temper, let's put the temper aside. Now you just have anger. Do you believe that anger cannot sit in the same heart with love?
They can sit in the same heart with love.
How?
Anger. I also came to realize that, if you have no business with someone, in fact, that's why you find the anger in the homes, where there is love, anger exists. Sometimes anger is used to discipline, is used for good purpose.
Like discipline.
But temper destroys.
How is anger useful?
Closer.
How is anger useful?
Okay. This is how anger is useful. That's what I'm telling you. For example, this is your platform I'm in. I come here. and maybe talk badly, do something. Obviously, there is part of you that will become ugly because I am tampering with something you love.
No, but you see,
And by that,
if I become angry at you, it means I'm expecting something from you, and then you behave in a way that I'm not expecting. That means the problem is me, not you.
Okay. Okay, this is a world of where we live with the expectation. That's a fact.
But why would you expect things from
but
people
doesn't mean,
when you're born totally adequate?
okay, let me explain. Let me explain this. When you have anger, that is an emotion that exists in ourselves. What we do is avoiding that tendency to occur always. I can be angry, but what matters is how I respond to that anger that is in myself.
But why would you need to respond to anger? Like, it's like you telling me, I have love and I have to respond to love. How do you respond to love? You simply either love or you don't love.
Okay, there is love and hate.
No, hate is different from anger.
There is. That's why I'm saying this. Love and anger can exist, but hate and love cannot exist at the same time. You get me?
So a heart that has anger can harbor love, right?
Yes, can have love.
Amazing. Okay.
Because I believe sometimes you used to make our parents angry and they would beat us, maybe because we messed up. But they beat us because of that love they have in us.
No,
because they want us to
it's because of the emotions and the anger that they have. So they are portraying that anger on you. Disciplining a child has nothing to do with anger. That is discipline. Disciplining a child is you trying to rectify their mistakes, and you beat them according to the mistake. You don't punish them according to your anger and emotions. No.
Okay. What inflates that discipline, or that what do I call it now? Example. I want you to get me. I want you to get me where I'm coming from.
Okay.
For example, if you have a kid, naturally as a kid, even if you observe the society as it is, when you have a kid, and maybe the kid, you tell them, stop doing that. You are trying to talk to them. Sometimes you get that angry, that maybe give you the instinct to discipline the kid.
Okay.
Because you love them, you don't want them to mess. But when you have that temper, by the way, that's why you find most of our fathers have maybe a temper issue.
Because they did not know God. They knew about God. And they still have the nature of whoever put their identity in them.
It's not about knowing God.
It is.
God created...
Bro,
okay.
But pastors,
Okay,
but most pastors don't know God. They know about God. And they still preach that to people. And that's why we adapt it from them.
Okay. Okay, this is what I'm trying to show you, that when you have the anger, the anger can be a useful tool, while temper is the bad thing, because that is the tendency. Also, as God created us, even in the Bible, we knew God gets angry, is it? For example, even there are so many quotes in the Bible. God got angry with the children of Israel, got angry, and even for the case of Noah, for example, God was angry with the human population, and that's why He ended up bringing up the floods. Okay, so I'm telling you, sometimes anger is used as a tool to discipline, like that.
Bro. Let me help you. You see, if you let me use the word beat. If you beat a child because of anger, you're actually over-punishing that child because you're actually pouring your emotions on this child, and you're actually imposing your will on this child. But that is not the same as discipline. Discipline means you are the parent, so you understand what is good for the child and what is bad for the child. Because as a parent, you're supposed to know God, and you understand good and evil. Once you do that, if the child does what is evil, you punish and you rectify. But if you punish a child with anger, this is the reason why most women are not natural disciplinarians. They end up over punishing the child because of the emotion and the anger they have towards the father.
Okay.
But you as a father, you're supposed to be logical and you're supposed to put your emotions at bay. Once you do that, you'll be able to punish the child logically according to the mistakes that they do, and then now through that you actually train them or trim them to who you want them to be.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
As a father, even the Bible says, let me use it as a reference. I'm sorry for those who are not Christian. It says, I don't have the exact quote, but I know there's something. It says it makes okay. It says that a hardworking child or a good child makes the father happy, while it makes the maybe the mother like something of shameful or something. Meaning, even our parents themselves have that expectation of you being good or bad. Okay, and when you become a bad child, you invoke that anger, and that's why they will tend to discipline it. They're not disciplining you because they hate you, but because you invoke an emotion of wanting to discipline you. Like anger starts like, okay, you start with anger and then you will go to discipline. And that's even if the parent doesn't at that moment when the angry beat you, but maybe sometimes they come to talk to you. They tell you these things didn't make me happy, or you disappointed me, or something of such kind. So, that's what I'm telling you. There's a difference between the anger and the temper. You have to know okay, they are all the same, but when you tendency to become when you have the tendency to always become angry, you become a tempered person.
Let me ask you, do you have anger?
That is what is bad.
Do you have anger?
I do have anger. I get angry, but how I manage it?
No, don't worry about how you manage it. Don't worry about how. I just asked, do you have anger?
Yeah, I get angry.
What gets you angry?
Maybe if someone gets me, like maybe you do something wrong to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So it is about other people. It's not about you. It's about other people. So other people are so bad.
I also get Doc. I also get angry at myself. Maybe I was maybe maybe I was I also get angry at myself. Maybe for example, I made someone else. Maybe I disappointed them. I am like I should not have done that. Why? Like I get angry also. Like there's that crisis in me. I feel bad. I did something and I get angry.
So why would you think? Myself. Why would you think you've done something wrong to them?
Okay, we live with people, and we need each other. So maybe, for example, you have a friend who is at hospital. You expected to reach a time. You find maybe you are blocked because you didn't reach a time. Obviously, you get angry. Why did I come? Now I have to come tomorrow. There is that part of you.
Is that anger, or is that just guilt that you did the wrong thing? That's not anger. That's just guilt because you did the wrong thing. Okay. And you see, you did the wrong thing knowing that it's the wrong thing. That's why you're feeling the guilt and you want to rectify it. That's normal. You must feel guilty because you did the wrong thing.
And the guilt can invoke anger as well.
How?
Because if you ever see people who are angry, sometimes it's invoked by guilt because maybe some people are trying to defend themselves.
Really?
Yes.
Amazing.
People maybe would get defensive.
Okay.
Mostly they are invoked. Maybe they have the anger or the anger issue. The anger issue Doc. I can simply say. The anger and temper, we need to separate the both.
Okay. Can I ask you, you were raised by both parents, right?
Yeah. I was raised by my two grandparents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did your parents pass away?
No, it's just the crisis of what do you call family. Maybe they split up.
Okay.
When I was very young.
So the grandparents were from which side? The mother's side or the father's side?
The mother's side.
Oh, the mother's side.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Amazing. Good. I appreciate you, bro, for your insights. That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good. Let's do one last one and then we call it a night. Oh, we have two. Fatun and then Sonny Big. So yes, Fatun, make it short for us so that we can call it a night. We are at 2 hours 26 minutes. Hey. Chamazere crochetry. Sadly, nowadays, women are sole providers of homes. Some men are running from their responsibilities. Now, do not confuse men and males, okay? Because men understand their role, they cannot run away from the responsibilities. But a male will come and deposit and woo. Okay, so yeah, so we tend to blame men for what males did or what males do. At home with Gracie, Psalms 37:8. Refrain from anger and turn from what? From wrath. Do not do not fret it, leads only to evil. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. Temper a person's state of mind seen in terms of their being angry and calm. Listen to this gentleman, the one who was just here. Temper is a person's state of mind seen in terms of their being angry or calm. So the reality is, if it's a state of the mind, it's controlled by the spiritual. And in the spiritual, everything goes towards good and evil. So when you get to the spiritual level, there's nothing like I'm angry and I still love. No, good and evil. This one disappeared. This one disappeared before I said something. Yeah. Sonibik, you can close it for us as we call it a night so that we can go and have a rest. Now, again, remember, these platforms are here to just open up your head a little bit. Do not take anything personal. Okay? These are also my personal opinions, so you can actually do more research on it and educate yourself better. Yes, Sonibik.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, talk to me.
Okay, may I talk from my personal view? I'm a married lady.
Okay.
7 years. This is my 8th year down the line.
Amazing. Do you obey your husband?
I obey my husband. And what I can say is, let me talk about myself as a mother.
Yeah.
My husband is first everything for me. I obey him. And he provides.
Okay.
I love working. I work not because I work for my well-being. Sometimes work gives even the mind.
Yeah.
For the well-being, I work like 4 hours, but he works full-time job like you. What I realized with the marriage, most of us as women, is because of something very small. We think after marriage, the honeymoon is the day you finish. After that, you change. And when I got married, I said my honeymoon, I didn't have even honeymoon. I said my honeymoon is every day.
Okay.
I don't want to say today I had honeymoon. No, it's every day. Number 2, when it comes to religion, I don't like to quote much religion. I like to be natural and to be African. The same thing to be just human. Not to quote always the Bible says, this one says. No, just be human. Look at the things as they are. Because we tend as Africans to copy paste a lot of things. So what I've learned as a married lady is things are not only about religion, it's about you as a person. Religion is a human. Being human is very important.
Yeah.
You become even more holy. Like you can see a family going to the church from morning to evening. You have no time for your family with your husband and your children. No? Like you are working from Monday to Saturday. Sunday, the church, the whole day a woman with the charismatic, with what, you go back and they're tired. Do you give the chance to these children to grow with you? You take them for an outing, for a hike, for something. So women, I think we have copied a lot from, I don't know from where.
Yeah.
Gen Z. You have to revise again the marriage. Marriage is a very beautiful thing you can have. If you really respect your husband, you can enjoy marriage life. Now, another thing is some women, in Kenya,
we are blessed to have house girls. So a man doesn't know you but than the house girl who will cook dinner, lunch, breakfast, wash clothes. For me, nobody has ever cooked for my husband. I do everything. Some, they don't even know how to cook, and you're married.
On that note, let me ask you, if a house help that you brought in makes a meal without me knowing, and then you serve the meal and I eat the meal, and then I put out a comment that, hey, this food was awesome, was amazing. Who is that compliment supposed to be directed to?
Anger.
So why would
you? Sure, some women really don't cook for their husbands. And then you see, you leave me in the house in the morning, maybe those who don't work.
Yeah.
We meet me in the evening with the same night dress. No? So husband comes home, your boss, with the same night dress you are having, not changing, the bed is not even made, the kitchen is not well done. What were you doing as a man, as a woman to this man? So some things we do as women are the ones that make men even go away from us.
Yeah, because
cleanliness is very important.
Because I think a wife is actually a role, and it has to be played perfectly by the woman that man
even
actually
for the
chose.
kids. The couple say, "Mommy is very neat. Mommy, you are a good cook. Mommy, you are." But if the man comes from home from work tired, from consultation like you, then you meet your husband, your wife is just with night dress the way you left her from bed. Nothing is cooked. You are done nothing. It then becomes an issue. So I think we should advise women. Marriage is very good if you make your man your best. You obey him, you enjoy your marriage life.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank
Another
you for
thing,
that.
the last thing I'll talk about is teaching children that no, your dad is not doing this, and some kids are taught by their mothers not to listen to their fathers. Or when a father corrects a child, you tend to support, like, no, don't do that, and you go ahead and tell, please don't cry. You know? So this is another thing that we as mothers spoil our kids, because a father is supposed to correct a child, and you are supposed to support, not to say a father is doing bad. Because as women we have a very soft heart. Tumeumbwa na maumbile tofauti na wanaume. Kwamba unaona mtoto analia utaanza kusema unamhurt. So I think those readings zinatuharibia marriage. Me, I'm happily married, and I advise women who are here on the take care of your husbands.
How about those who are not married?
Well,
would you want them? Would you want them to join you, or is a
those
prison
married,
and you are hiding? I'm told that married women are hiding this from single women, so that say misery loves company. When you join in, you suffer together. Is it true?
And then don't force children to go to the church. Don't force them to go to the Sunday school or take them. Don't they will be like, oh, you are forced. You don't know anything. You are forcing your kids. Let's go to the church. You have to go to the Sunday school. Take them sometimes even for an outing, not like church. Day to evening. You can pray at home. Amazing. Make your home a prayerful place for marriage to be successful. Amazing. Not always church morning to evening.
Thank you so much, Sorry.
Come here, you know, we are in holidays.
Yeah.
The kids are not going to the church, they are in holidays. But they are praying. They don't misbehave. Up to September, they start going to the Sunday school.
Amazing.
And you there every day, go fight. So I think we have to change a lot as women. And I'm sorry if I hurt somebody, but marriage is very good. If you get the right partner and you respect your husband. Thank you, doctor. I cannot talk much, so I may talk too much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you and thank you for your insights. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to call it a night. It's time for us to quit. We've done 2 hours, 36 minutes. That has been the longest live we've ever done. But you've stayed here patiently with us. Thank you for every conversation that we've had. I didn't know this will be this long and this huge. So of course there are gaps here and there, but again, yeah, we had to do an open mic Friday at least once on this channel. So again, If you've not subscribed on my YouTube channel, it's Health and Wellness Sport. Just go there and press that subscription button, and let's grow big. If you're here, you've not followed me on TikTok, please do, because you'll miss out on a lot. I do a lot of content related to health, and we appreciate you for supporting us. Now, our online consultations and our physical consultations are still ongoing. The online are ongoing, but the physical will start on 30th of this month all the way to the 9th of next month. So you can book your appointment through the office contact that was actually running through the platforms. If you didn't get it, it's 0707 07 4722. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for being here patiently, and I appreciate you, and we'll see you on Monday as we continue with our health lectures. Have a good night.